Hello and welcome back to the channel Higher Thinking with Valerie. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're new, hello. My name is Valerie. And today is going to be part 3 of Foundations of Self-Love, okay? Now, I just want to say this again. I believe I said this in the first video of Foundations of Self-Love. That self-love means a broad range of things, and I just like to, I'm kind of splitting it up into parts so that I can tell you like specific ones, specific things about self-love that people don't really think is self-love, kind of like the most important ones that stand out to me, things that I've experienced myself in my own life. So that's why I'm using these specific circumstances and situations and explanations for self-love, okay? So we're going to continue today with part 3. And like I said, self-love is not just these things. I'm actually going to be making the last part of this Foundations of Self-Love. I'm going to do two more. I'm going to talk about 2 more things today, okay? I don't want to bombard you guys with too much information. If you want to like expand, if you really want to like listen about self-love and like all the things that I have to say about it, you can look at the other videos. But this is part 3 and I'm going to do a part 4 and then I'm going to move on to something different, okay? I am currently writing a self-love memoir. It's called How I Found Self-Love, a memoir, okay? About my own personal life. I never thought I would write something about myself, about my personal life. But one day, like I was saying in the last video, I was reading my diaries from when I was a child, and I felt inspired to write and share with the world how I found self-love, because I needed someone when I was younger, specifically like teenage years and like early 20s. I needed the person that I am now. I needed someone to tell me, hey, love yourself. You are worthy. Your value doesn't lie in how some man sees you or how this person sees you or whatever, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Okay. Stick up for yourself. So many aspects. Love yourself. Okay. A lot of people, they don't love themselves and they don't even understand that they don't love themselves. They don't even know. Okay. But the foundation of everything, right, starts with yourself. You got to love yourself. Okay. It's super important. Because if you don't, you're going to wonder why your life feels like you're stuck in a 100-foot hole, okay? Why you feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, okay? So let's get into it, all right? I feel like I yapped enough. All right, here we go. Today I want to talk about an aspect of self-love. Keeping promises to yourself / not betraying yourself, okay? And I'm going to explain to you why this is like big, okay? Just think about, if you were, the most important relationship that you have is with yourself. It's not with your child, with your significant other, it's you. Because at the end of the day, you were born here, unless you're a twin, but it doesn't matter. Even if you were born a twin, you're still individual, okay? You're still your individual self. We are born here, okay, individually, all right? So you always have your soul within you, right? You have 2 voices in your head. You have your brain, and then you have your higher self / your soul / God. It's all the same thing, okay? So you always gonna be with you all the time, no matter what. That's why the relationship that you have with yourself is the most important. That's why you need to spend time with yourself, being by yourself, not always trying to find one of the next party or have your boyfriend over or, have a friend group all the time going out every single day. Or you have to be able to spend time with yourself, okay? Because you got to work on that relationship. All right. So as I was saying, when it comes to the relationship with yourself, you got to keep the promises that you make to yourself and don't betray yourself. What would betraying yourself look like? So, for example, let's say you're in a relationship and the person that you are with is not a vegetarian, but you are. So you don't eat meat, but your partner does. Okay. And you see them like, they're eating meat or whatever, and like they're like, hey, like, why don't you just have some? Like, it's making whatever, it's making me uncomfortable, or you don't want, I don't know why you're sticking to this vegetarian thing. Like, why don't you just eat meat? Blah 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 blah. Like, let's say you're starting to get into vegetarianism. This is like a crazy, like, random example, okay? Let's say you're just new. Say you told your partner, like, yeah, I really want to become vegetarian. Like, I'm feeling bad for the animals, whatever, the reasons why people become vegetarian. Let's say your partner doesn't really take it that seriously, and they're just like, just eat some meat. Like, what are you doing? You want some of this steak, like, just here, have a piece of my steak. So if it, like, so you go to eat the steak not because you really want to, but because you want to, you're being pressured into it, you want to please your partner, or some part of what they're saying kind of rings true for you. It's like, oh, you're right, like, why am I even doing this? Like, maybe I should just go back to eating meat. So you do it, right? And then, like, let's say you were like 1 week into not eating meat, and then all of a sudden you're just like, like, man, you feel bad a little bit, right? Because you're like, I told myself I wasn't going to eat meat anymore. Like, I was trying to become a vegetarian. So, so you cannot blame it on anybody else, because at the end of the day, no one's shoving the meat down your throat. Okay, you're making the decision, right? So it's kind of like it's kind of like an act of betrayal against yourself. That's just like a minuscule random example, but like, I'm really trying to think. Really, the example that I wanted to give you guys was this. Okay, um it's like wanting to say no to something and then not, right? Like, you really don't want to do something, but you do it anyway. Just like the example that I gave. So that's just like so it could be because someone influenced you, or you're just, you're on the verge of giving up. Whatever. You're doing something, or you're being with somebody, or you're being someone, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, that you don't really want to do, especially, this is the main thing. It's not just about doing something you don't want to do. It's especially after you had committed to something. It's when you make a commitment to something and then you go back on that commitment, which nobody's perfect, but like, there are commitments that really are important to us. Like, for example, like, let's say someone's trying to stop doing substances or stop taking like prescription medicine. They don't want to depend on prescription medicine anymore. So they commit to themselves, okay, instead of taking this pill, I'm going to start doing this every day, this natural remedy. And I got to stay consistent because it will work. It's going to work. I just have to stay consistent. So maybe like day 2 or 3, like, you're not really seeing any symptoms, and you're like, I know I have to keep going, like, blah 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 blah, but you end up just going and taking the medicine anyway, and then you feel like, oh man, like, that's betraying yourself, right? It's like you're doing something that you told yourself you weren't going to do, or that you didn't want to do, right? The reason why this is an act, the reason why not betraying yourself is an act of self-love, is because, like I said, you are in a relationship with yourself always, no matter what. You cannot break up with yourself, okay? Technically you can, right? If you don't love yourself, you're kind of like not in a healthy relationship with yourself. But my point is that if you can't even you can't even commit to yourself, how do you even think that anybody else could? And this goes beyond just like relationships. This can be like friends, or people that you work with, or family members. Like, you're going to find people in your life betraying you because you would betray yourself. That's really honestly how it works, okay? You won't even attract people or situations like that if you don't betray yourself. It starts with you, all right? And the other thing that I mentioned was, yeah, that's it. Keeping promises to yourself, right, is part of not betraying yourself. Um, even things like, now we can get on a less serious note, because calling, like saying betraying yourself is kind of like intense. We can go on a less serious note now, and let's talk about, keeping promises to yourself. So like, okay, I'm gonna work out, right? Like, or I'm gonna, I'm gonna, make sure to mow my lawn or keep my lawn up to date, right? Rake the leaves, fertilize it. I'm gonna do it at least once a week. And then like you don't do it. Like when you actually stay committed and say you do something that you say you're gonna do, it builds sirens in the background. It builds a self confidence and trust in yourself that nobody can give you but you. Only you can build that trust and confidence within yourself when you follow through with things that you said you were going to do. And once again, you can't expect other people to treat you a way that you don't even treat yourself, right? Okay, because once upon a time, I didn't respect or value or honor myself, so other people didn't either, because I didn't even. And there's people that knew that I didn't even, right? Like that's why they knew that I didn't. You can tell somebody who respects, honors themselves, has confidence between someone that doesn't. And not everybody's going to be like, well, I'm going to treat this person like crap because they treat themselves like crap. Not everybody's like that. But I'm saying that you will attract people that are like that, because there is people that just want to prey. They just want to, they're predators and they're just looking for prey, okay? They'll use you, okay? So the last thing that I want to throw in there is I have here, I wrote down self-respect is self-love. And I already said that. If you honor yourself, it's a form of self-love. Like I said, self-love is just like expansion. It's so expanding. Like it just never ends. You always got everything that you do in life, you always got to ask yourself, do I love myself? Right? Like lately I've been drinking, this is Dunkin', okay? Lately I've been drinking a lot of Dunkin'. I've been just like indulging, okay? I got fast food. Look, like I said, self love is so expanding, because you can be like doing good in one area of self love and then, falling short on another area, okay? So, is the food that you're putting in your body you loving yourself? Am I really loving myself? No, this is me just feeding my sugar cravings, okay? I don't think there's anything wrong with Dunkin'. I don't. I think that if I got Dunkin' like once a week, like a couple times a month, I would be pretty happy with that. I would feel pretty good about myself. I'd be like, yeah, I don't overdo it. But when you're drinking it like every day, sometimes twice a day, that's how you know you're overindulging and you're not caring enough about how it's affecting your body, okay? But that's actually I'm getting into next week's topic of self-love, which is going to be all about the body, you guys. So that's the physical, right? This type of stuff is like things that you have to like develop, right? So the last thing I was just going to say is I have here sticking to your standards even if it's judged by others. So that just goes along with the little story that I said in the beginning about, the vegetarian girlfriend. No, I don't want the meat and I'm not eating it. It is going to make, you know what I mean? When you stick to your standards and you have boundaries and you say no and you have self-respect, it's going to trigger people that don't have that. But it's good, because if it's triggering them, if it's bothering them, that means that it's something that they need to look at within themselves. And they're going to think to themselves, okay, why am I so bothered by the fact that so-and-so doesn't want to eat meat? Like, why does it bother me? And it's like, because it bothers you that this person, wants to do something, right? Like has some kind of value that they want to stand up for. So maybe you need to, right? Maybe that person that's feeling triggered by it, I'm going into a whole other topic, needs to go find right? Something that they want to stand up for. It doesn't have to be vegetarianism, whatever, right? It's reflecting on them. So having standards and sticking by them is a form of self-love, which goes along with what I was saying in the previous videos, being unapologetically yourself, right? The standards that you have is part of your personality and the character that you play here in this earth realm. Okay. So the next video I'm going to be posting is going to be, like I said, it's going to be all about the body. All right. About foods, about, sexual partners, how you treat your body, like working out. Okay. It's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be everything body wise, mental health. Okay. Because at the end of the day, we're not just spiritual beings. We also are these physical bodies. Not that we are it, but we have them, you guys. We have them. We have it, right? So we got to take care of it because these are our Merkabas on this planet, okay? Along with our cars. I don't know if you know what Merkaba is. I'm about to look it up for you guys. Hold on a second. Definition of Merkaba.
Is a geometric symbol and spiritual concept representing a chariot of light used for ascension and divine connection. It is visually depicted as a star tetrahedron composed of two interlocking three-dimensional triangles.
All right, so Merkaba. Mer stands for rotating fields of light. Ka is the individual spirit, and Ba is the physical body. So yeah, I'm pretty spot on with that, right? I did say we're a Merkaba. So we got to take care of this Merkaba, you guys. Merkaba is how we, I was telling my sister, I'm like, this is how we travel through dimensions, our Merkaba. So yeah, you guys. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you were able to follow along with me because, I kind of just like letting it flow. It was coming straight from my mind, out of my mouth, okay? So, all right, I'll see you guys in the next video. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. One more thing, you guys, I am a writer. So if you would like to stay up to date on my books that are coming out, subscribe to my website. Okay, I'll leave my website in the description. Also, you can check out the books that I've written. I've written short books. They're like less than 100 pages. They're called novellas. When they're that length of words, 40,000 to 60,000 words, it's called a novella. So I've written and self-published 3 novellas. They're available on Amazon. You can look me up, Valerie Umar. If you're interested, there's a description of what the book's about. It would mean a lot to me if you like to read and you're interested in one of those books. It would mean a lot to me if you bought it and you read it and told me what you thought about it. Okay, because I'm really trying to get my name out there as a writer, get my writing out there. It's not really about me. If I'm ever going to become known for something, my deepest wish since from childhood is that, to be known for my writing. Okay, I love to write. All right, so it would mean a lot to me if you checked out my books. But other than that, you guys, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.